National leadership of Action Alliance under Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze wishes to alert Nigerians and the international community to a brazen act of injustice and executive rascality currently being perpetrated by the Independent National Electoral Commission under its chairman, Professor of Law, Joash Amupita, SAN. The facts are undisputed that on the 14th March 2021 and 22nd February 2025, Action Alliance held its national conventions led by Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze. The validity of the said national conventions was challenged by one Adekunle Omaje at Abuja Judicial Division of the Court of Appeal in appeal number CA/ABJ/CV/955/2022 between Adekunle Rufai Omaje and others versus Chief Uzewuru Nwachukwu and 3 others. That on the 26th January 2024, the Court of Appeal, Abuja Judicial Division, delivered judgment and dismissed Adekunle Rufai Omaje and others' appeal in favor of the national chairmanship of Action Alliance under my leadership. The court awarded cost of 4 million naira against Adekunle Omaje and others in my favor as the national chairman of Action Alliance and other respondents. The Court of Appeal specifically at page 54 of its judgment, while dismissing Adekunle Rufai Omaje's appeal in favor of Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze-led leadership, stated, and I quote, "In conclusion, I am of the firm view that appellants have not placed any tangible reason why the decision of the lower court should be interfered with, being that there is no scintilla of merit in the appeal, having determined all the issues against the appellant. This appeal accordingly fails and deservingly dismissed. The respondents in the circumstance are entitled to cost, which I assess at 1 million naira each to each of the 4 respondents against the appellant. The said Court of Appeal judgment is attached as Annexure A in this conference and will make it available to all the media houses at the end of this conference. And the justices of the court, lawyers to Action Alliance, led by Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze, formally wrote INEC chairman, the Professor of Law, Professor Joash Amupita, SAN, attaching the certified true copies of the Court of Appeal judgments and ruling as enumerated. The letter demanded immediate compliance by restating the list of the Kenneth Udeze-led executive on the Commission's website, from where it was unlawfully pulled out sometime December 2025. More than 2 months later, INEC has neither responded to the letter nor obeyed the judgments of the Court of Appeal, hence this World Press Conference. I want the general public, the media that has been very supportive to Action Alliance, the Nigerian Bar Association, to note that before now, INEC has been recognizing the leadership of Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze based on various Court of Appeal judgments and has been dealing with my leadership as valid as an authentic. Shockingly, INEC illegally stopped recognition of my Court of Appeal, affirmed leadership, and chose to illegally and erroneously recognize one Adekunle Omaje as national chairman of Action Alliance, with his group, who have filed to the Supreme Court an appeal with appeal number SC/CV/162/2024 between Adekunle Rufai Omaje and others versus Chief Uzewuru Nwachukwu and 3 others, who are challenging the Court of Appeal judgment in Annex A, which I just presented to you people above, to recognize my leadership. We refer the Commission to Section 287, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended, which clearly states, and I quote, it said, "The decision of the Court of Appeal shall be enforced in any part of the Federation by all authorities and persons, and by court of subordinate jurisdiction to that of the Court of Appeal," unquote. Then we ask, how does a professor of law and a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, who has INEC, justify disobedience of valid, subsisting, and binding judgments and rulings of the Court of Appeal that recognizes the leadership of Action Alliance under my leadership as the national chairman? What message does this send about the respect to the rule of law under his watch? Are we safe to trust this leadership of INEC to deliver 2027 general election? Now, I want to talk on corruption and institutional capture, because INEC refusal to act can only be explained by corruption and undue influence within the commission. The staff of INEC have abandoned neutrality and choosing executive rascality over constitutional duty. This is dangerous for democracy. And I want to tell Nigerians that, do you know that the cause of subverting justice by civil servants, particularly those working in INEC, is more dangerous than the crime of kidnap and terrorism? Because when you decided to subvert the will of the people, you are indirectly causing a lot of havoc against the belief of certain people. And what INEC is doing by its staff is condemnable. And this is our resolve. Contempt proceeding. Action Alliance shall, without further delay, commence contempt proceedings against the chairman of INEC, the professor of law, Professor Josh Amupeto, SAN, for unwillful disobedience to the judgments and ruling of the Court of Appeal, Abuja Judicial Division, that validated Action Alliance leadership led by Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze. No one, no matter how highly placed, even Mr. President, is above the law. Public accountability. We demand that Professor Josh Amupeto, the professor of law, SAN, to publicly explain to Nigerians, while a commission he leads as a professor of law and senior advocate of Nigeria is deliberately violating Section 287, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, that has to do with the hierarchy of courts. This is the dubious reason the commission and its willing tool, Omaje, could not shamefully tender or bring forward the purported lower court judgment they claim to be acting upon against the appellate court judgment and ruling, knowing the consequences. The legal profession and the academic community must call him to account. Immediate compliance. INEC must immediately restore the Kenneth Udeze-led National Executive Committee of Action Alliance to its website and accord our leadership all rights and privileges due to it by law. The commission is not doing any favor to the Udeze leadership by simple obedience to Court of Appeal orders. Action Alliance participation in 2027 general election. Action Alliance AA, led by Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze, conducted consensus primary elections from State House of Assembly, House of Representatives, senatorial, governorship, and presidential primaries, where candidates emerged. Prior to the conduct of the said primaries, the party held the party had issued statutory notices to the Commission, that is INEC, in compliance with the Electoral Act 2026. I want to use this opportunity to assure all candidates of different positions that emerged from party primaries across Nigeria that the party, under my watch, will do everything legally to ensure the safety of your candidacy. And let me also use this great opportunity to commend some candidates of the party who, out of the love of the party, have written to the national leadership of the party, informing us of their need to withdraw some of their candidacy in order to open windows for other intending aspirants who intends to achieve their political fortune by contesting election, by leaving this window for them to come in and take over the flag of Action Alliance. And I believe with that, there is still window for people to come into the party to contest, in as much as we know that our online registration of membership is ongoing. We expect with this window, candidates across party lines are welcome into the party before we go ahead for what we call substitution primaries, which is part of INEC guidelines. I want to use this opportunity to assure, the state of the nation and beyond insecurity. While we commend efforts of the federal government, the Oyo State government, and security agencies that led to the rescue of Oyo school children and teachers, we demand that the federal government and state governments, where some Nigerians are still held under captivity, to do everything possible to get them released. Nigeria continues to bleed from multiple crises beyond insecurity. Nigerians are confronted with economic hardship, hyperinflation, rising costs of food, fuel, and medicine have pushed millions into poverty. Unemployment, our graduates and skilled youths have no jobs, fueling hopelessness and brain drain. Collapse of public services. Our hospitals lack drugs, school lacks teachers and infrastructure, and conducive learning environment. More importantly, power supply have remained epileptic. Judicial delays and conflicting rulings. This erodes public confidence and invites impunity. Threats to our democratic institution. When INEC and other agencies pick and choose which court orders to obey, it undermines the entire democratic process. Action Alliance calls on the federal and state government to urgently address this issue with sincerity and competence. In conclusion, democracy dies when institutions meant to protect it becomes lawbreakers. INEC cannot be the referee and still choose which court orders to obey. The world is watching. We will not rest until this injustice is reversed and the rule of law is restored. Thank you, gentlemen of the press, and God bless you.